Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Hungary in the Morning.
So hey guys, what's going on? So as you can tell, we have definitely moved from our set in Denmark and we have moved to Hungary. Thomas, how did we get to Hungary?
Yeah, we got bought out by Rotten Tomatoes and then decided to give us a second chance in Hungary.
Yeah, and with that, and because of this, they have now asked us to do 2 film reviews on 2 movies from the World War II era,
including Operation Finale and Darkest Hour. So we're going to review those movies, but first, let's do some interesting facts about Hungary.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a very important part about Hungary that we all should know. There is a 99% literacy rate.
And in Hungary, they have the largest underground labyrinth in the whole world. And supposedly, Count Dracula was held there for 14 years.
The vampire.
Yes.
You know what?
It's ridiculous.
That's a pretty good thing about Hungary. But you know what's a problem, okay? There are too many stupid Hungarian cowboys, alright?
They steal our clothes. They steal our
They take
clothes.
everything
They're just
we
trying to
have.
make a living. God.
It's terrible. They are the worst.
Stop judging them.
The worst.
Oh my gosh.
Another interesting fact about Hungary is a Hungarian was first responsible for the creation of the Rubik's Cube, which then was taken over by an American inventor and turned into a multi-million-dollar business.
Yes. And also in Hungary, they have a 600 square kilometer lake in the middle of their country. And some call it the Hungarian beach because of its great views.
Where's the sun?
That's a good
It's a
question.
beach with no sun. It's not a beach.
Cannot be a beach without no sun.
It has no waves, no beach, no surfing.
No, but there's sand under the water.
It's so
I bet.
One of the last most important things about Hungary is their creation of the noiseless match. Now, I don't know what a noiseless match would be needed for, but a match is the cause of lighting a fire. And so
Really?
there's no need for it to be noiseless. So I don't know why.
That
Very
is so
true.
they can cook their soup.
But, like you said, the soup. The soup. The Hungarian soup. It's magnificent.
Hey, no.
Okay.
Now we're going to turn it over to my co-worker, Micah Dorsey, who has some puns for us to hear.
Now, Caleb, don't mess up his puns like in anatomy. It's not cool. Okay.
So we always hear the joke that 6 was scared of 7 because 7 ate 9. But, a very philosophical question, why did 7 eat 9? Because it needed 3 squared meals a day. Singing in the shower is all fun and games until you get shampoo in your mouth, then it becomes a soap opera. Do you know why the sweethearts got in trouble at school? Because they were tardy. What did the mama cow say to the baby cow? It's past your bedtime. So, why did the elephant not like to play cards in the safari? Because there are too many cheetahs. Boo! Now let us watch the trailer for The Darkest Hour so our audience can get a clear view of what this movie is about.
Let them see your true qualities.
My poor judgment.
Your sense of humour.
Ho, ho, ho. Your Majesty.
Mr. Churchill, I invite you to take up the position of Prime Minister.
He's an actor in love with the sound of his own voice.
You need
waiting to reply to the Lord Privy's seal.
I am sealed in the privy, and I can only deal with one shit at a time.
A bottle of champagne for lunch, another one at dinner.
Here's to not buggering it up.
We are looking at the collapse of Western Europe in the next few days.
You ask what is our aim? Victory at all costs.
You're suggesting we're somehow winning. We're not.
Is it true we're in full retreat?
All our forces are now in Dunkirk, where we cannot reach them.
They're pushing us into the sea.
There is the question of peace talks between ourselves and Germany.
Europe is still...
Europe is lost.
The child.
You have the full weight of the world on your shoulders.
How many men will survive?
Go to the people. Tell them the truth.
We must rouse to an heroic resistance.
There's nothing patriotic in fighting to the end. Now is the time to negotiate.
When will the lesson be learned? You cannot reason with a tiger when your head is in its mouth! I take full responsibility.
Really?
Really? Yes, sir! It is the reason I sit in this chair!
Be yourself.
Myself. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing ground. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender! For without victory, there can be no survival.
The first film would be The Darkest Hour, and Silas will give us a summary.
In May 1940, the opposition Labour Party in Parliament demands the resignation of British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain for being too weak in the face of the Nazi onslaught. Chamberlain tells Conservative Party advisors that he wants Lord Halifax as his successor, but Halifax does not feel the time is right. Chamberlain is forced to choose the only man whom the opposition parties will accept. Winston Churchill, the First Lord of the Admiralty. Churchill tries to dismiss his new secretary, Elizabeth Leighton, for hearing him, which earns him a rebuke from his wife Clementine. King George VI, who strongly distrusts Churchill, reluctantly invites him to form a government. Churchill includes Chamberlain as Lord President of the Council and Halifax as Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs. Within days of becoming Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Winston Churchill must face one of his most turbulent and defining trials: exploring a negotiated peace treaty with Nazi Germany, or continuing the war. As the unstoppable Nazi forces roll across Western Europe and the threat of invasion appears to be imminent, and with an unprepared public, a skeptical king, and his own party plotting against him, Churchill must withstand his darkest hour, rally a nation, and attempt to change the course of world history. Now, Mike, what was a scene that was very moving to you?
Yes. There is a very powerful scene in which Winston Churchill is addressing his people for the first time over the radio. Before he begins, he's attempting to edit his speech, but the radio worker interrupts him continually. The pressure builds and Churchill gets more and more agitated and tells him to quiet as the countdown progresses. He finishes just in time. As he begins, a red light turns on, indicating that he's live to the British populace. For the first couple seconds, Churchill holds the people together in his grasp in silence. The whole room read, and then he begins. The camera zoomed out, giving a large view of Churchill and the room. The camera gets closer and closer to Churchill's eyes as he continues to speak his first words to the British people. You feel as if though you are one of the people, and Churchill is talking to you alone. Interspersed among the speech, the audience gets to see the reactions of those who love Churchill and those who hated him. You feel as though you can see the country's reaction, and you are one with the country all at once. And so, that is my scene, and here it is. Now, Silas, please tell us what your scene was that stuck out to you and evoked such powerful emotion and things like that.
So, earlier in the film, Neville Chamberlain had talked to one of the members of his party and had said, "If I am to take my handkerchief and I throw it on the ground, I want you to stand up and shout and disrupt Winston Churchill in the middle of his speech." However, at the end of the film, we see Winston Churchill calling for Parliament for war. The need is for war and not peace. And as he gives his speech, we watch the faces of all the members of the cabinet. We watch as Neville Chamberlain takes his handkerchief out of his pocket, and you wonder, will he throw it down and bring their nation to the knees before the Nazis? But no, he takes his napkin and he wipes his forehead in submission. That is the scene that stuck out to me. It's powerful. Now, when discussing whether a film is a really good film or not, we must discuss whether it has historically accurate plots in it. And so I asked my partner here, Michael Dorsey, does this film have an accurate depiction of history?
Absolutely. Definitely one of the most highlighted parts of the film is how much Winston Churchill eats, drinks, and smokes. He was truly a man who loved a fine Cuban cigar and his alcohol, and the film did an excellent job of showing to what extent he was gripped by these things. He preferred to have his cigars personalized, but if he was to have a commercial one, he wanted a Cuban, Romeo, y Oletes. There was rarely a meal or stressful time where Churchill did not have a glass of whiskey in his hand. His drinking schedule was as follows: a glass of sherry at 7:30 a.m., whiskey around 10 a.m., champagne or brandy at 1 p.m., whiskey before his nap at 4 p.m., whiskey after his nap at 6:30 p.m., sherry at dinner 8 p.m., port and brandy at 10 p.m., and a 2 a.m. glass of cognac before bed. And one day, he would consume double the weekly recommended amount by the NHS. And there was rarely a time where he sat and thought without puffing a fine cigar. According to all we know about Churchill, his actions in this realm are some of the most verifiable, and the movie does an excellent job of portraying the Churchill that history knows also.
Another important aspect when critically examining a film is, does it improve someone's understanding of history overall? So I'm now going to turn it over to Micah Dorsey, who will discuss his opinion on the film.
Yes. I feel as though The Darkest Hour does a fantastic job, utterly fantastic job. Does an utterly fantastic job of portraying the behind-the-scenes political turmoil and strife that Churchill had to face. Most films nowadays tend to focus on the action, the fighting, and this film does an excellent job of throwing that out the window and choosing instead to say, are you educated? Do you know the history behind what was going on? And we will give you an inside peek on what was really going on. So we can see Churchill battling, fighting to become prime minister, learning of his new stuff, his family going through the struggle with him, or his wife. What a beautiful, charming woman, really had to endure a lot. But we saw Churchill as he won over the people in his party by finding the people of Britain, won with him, decided to fight Churchill's adversaries and back Churchill. This is a fantastic moment, and I feel as though this film takes a utterly revolutionary approach when it comes to the Battle of Dunkirk and the turmoil in Britain in World War II. Now my colleague Silas Dorsey will give us his opinion on whether he thinks this film improves the audience's understanding of history. Silas, take it away.
when looking at the film to see whether it is historically accurate, most films that deal with the World War II era also mostly deal with a soldier, or a soldier in action, or his life, you know. Action was the story. This film does not try to take that approach. It tries to take more the political side of what is going on during the history around this time.
It gives background?
It does. It's very thoughtful and how methodical about how it shows Churchill's political journey to where he got to, and how he got the nation on board to stand up against a big old bully like Germany.
It's a valiant effort.
So I think that this film does a very, very nice job of people who do not know much about this. They will learn very much from watching this film and how it portrays Churchill in his journey.
Yes, and so with all of our evidence and critique of this film, The Darkest Hour, in our cooperation with Rotten Tomatoes, we've decided that this film gets 84% on the tomato meter.
Certified, by the way, tomato?
It's the tomato meter!
It's tomato meter.
It's tomato.
Who
cares?
Tomato meter.
We do not care.
Tomato.
Wait.
These are fresh tomatoes.
All we care is it's fresh.
It is certified fresh. Certified fresh.
Mwah.
Mwah! Delicious.
Almost.
And now, for a short break, we'll go to intermission before my colleagues John Adam and TP take it away to do their film, Operation Finale.
Alright, another rule of surviving the winter of Russia, you gotta grow yourself a beard. If I could do it in a day, it might take you longer, but you just go on and do it. Another thing is you gotta get yourself a little thing like this. It's called a tube. It's shelter, and it's transportation. Now that's fast. Tune in next time.
Oh yeah.
You have got to get yourself a conveyor belt in the winter of Russia. Look at that snow. I ain't walking on that. I got this conveyor belt. You can sit on it. You can eat on it. You can contemplate on it. There's a lot of stuff you can do.
Oh yeah.
You see, here in Russia, they don't just have snow or ice. They got advanced ice. Look at that thing. We never learned about that in school now. It just comes on out of the ground, which means it's advanced. So the upper hand you got to get on it, you got to look at it and say, go get it! And that's what happens is, look, it's getting. I did that. That's me. This is how you do it. You just got to point your finger at it and say, come on, get it! Get it! You have to keep relations when you're in Russia. Some of the locals are eating themselves. And then, you're dead.
Ah yeah.
See, another thing is you got to find some shelter. This crevice now is really good for you. You just go on in there and you can't be seen. So no wolves are going to get you. Is this a good shelter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, y'all don't go in there. Oh my gosh. Lord of mercy. The Human Torch denied a bank loan. The bank loan when you're in Russia. You don't go there. You won't survive. Oh, I survived. I made it. We all did.
Oh yeah.
All right, now, just like we did with The Darkest Hour, let's go ahead and watch the trailer for Operation Finale.
You have no interest in what I have to say. Unless it confirms what you think you already know. My job was simple. Save the country I love from being destroyed. Is your job any different?
I have a lead on the great enemy of our people, Adolf Eichmann.
The architect of the final solution?
The trail went cold in 46. Latest intelligence suggests Buenos Aires.
This guy convinced rabbis to load the trains themselves, and not by force.
If it is him, we need an elite crew.
I'm not joining your hit squad.
I would happily put a bullet in between his eyes, but that's not what we're doing here. This is strictly catch and extract.
Eichmann will stand trial here in Israel.
Think what it means. Finally, publicly, holding to account the man who organized our slaughter. Our memory reaches back through recorded history. The book of memory still lies open. And you, here now, are the hand that holds the pen. If you succeed, for the first time in our history, we will judge our executioner. And we will warn off any who may wish to follow his example. If you fail, he escapes justice. Perhaps forever. I beg you, do not fail.
Our second film, Operation Finale, is going to be summarized by Jones over here. And take it away, Jones.
Buenos Aires, 1960. Sylvia Hermann begins courting Klaus Eichmann. Klaus meets Sylvia and her father Lothar at their home. Klaus speaks of his father's service with the SS, but tells Lothar that he had died on the Eastern Front. Suspicious, Lothar passes this information to Fritz Bauer, and Bauer, suspecting that Klaus's uncle may in fact be Adolf Eichmann. Sylvia meets the Eichmann family at their home to apologize for her earlier actions, and after Klaus accidentally calls Eichmann his father, the exchange between Sylvia and the Eichmann family is relayed back to Israel. The Mossad agent, Peter Malkin, is brought on the operation to capture Eichmann and to bring him to Israel. The capture team, composed of both Mossad and Shin Bet agents, begins surveillance with Malkin determining that Eichmann is a creature of habit. Harrell approves the capture on the 7th of May with a team to capture Eichmann while on his way home from work. The team executes this plan on May 11th, with Malkin capturing Eichmann outside his home and subsequently extracting him to a safe house. In the scuffle, Eichmann loses his glasses. Meanwhile, the capture team is informed by the transport planes company that they will only transport Eichmann if he is to sign that he will voluntarily travel to Israel to stand trial. Eichmann, however, refuses to sign the waiver. But Eichmann attempts to bond with Malkin during his watch and is able to further persuade Eichmann to sign the agreement requested. As the safe house is scrubbed and Eichmann is loaded, the flight is subsequently delayed due to an issue with the flight permit, and Malkin rushes to air traffic control with the flight permit in hand to ensure the plane will take off safely. Malkin subsequently remains behind and catches a separate flight home with the captors congratulating each other on the operation.
Now John Adams is going to tell us his favorite scene from the movie.
So, in the movie, Adolf Eichmann is a SS officer who was in charge of creating all the concentration camps for the Jews. He is single-handedly responsible, some would say, for all the Jewish deaths during World War II. So, because of how high-ranked he is, this mission is very important to all of the Jewish agents involved. So, after the capture of Eichmann, they sit him down and they begin to question him on who he is and who he's related to and things of that nature. Eichmann gives false information to all of their questions until one question is raised. A Mossad agent looks at Eichmann and simply says, "Your SS number is 45381. Eichmann, knowing his number is not 45381, begins to break down. You can see it in his eyes. You can see the pain coming back from every time he's written down his real SS number. After multiple times repeating the false number back to him, Eichmann simply looks at him and says, "No, my number is 45326. I am Adolf Eichmann." So, Thomas, tell us, what was your favorite scene from this movie? You know, what was the most moving moment to you?
The most impactful moving moment was when Eichmann was upstairs with his captor, El Captor, he called him, Mr. Malkin, and a Mossad agent. He could twisted and contorted his mind to make him
twisted.
Yeah, twisted.
Twisted.
Yeah.
Twisted and turned.
Yeah. So he just twisted and contorted his mind to think that he was his life was worth the death of 6 million more Jews that died in the Holocaust. So it really just portrays like how sick and twisted Adolf Eichmann is, and how emotional Malkin got when he talked about Foman, Malkin's sister that died from Nazi SS soldiers.
Now here is the clip.
Now, John Adams, we're all wondering, is Operation Finale a good historical portrayal of what actually happened in real life?
Now, I have a couple problems with this movie. It's a good movie, don't get me wrong. I just don't think it's very, it doesn't do the history of the events justice. I think Hollywood does a classic dramatization of the events and makes it a lot worse and more psychological than it really was. Even down to one part where Peter Malkin is in a relationship with another Mossad agent that didn't even exist historically. They end up having a romantic relationship in the movie, and you know, it's just kind of weird looking at that when it doesn't actually happen. And then just the psychology done by Eichmann on the members of the Mossad, just, I don't know, like, just kind of put me off, Thomas, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I kind of felt that energy off of it too.
Yeah, but it was a good movie, don't get me wrong. It was just very inaccurate and over-dramatized. Now, Thomas, question everybody's asking, like you said, does this movie give a good representation of the historical events, and do you think that people will come away from this movie having a better appreciation of what happened?
Yes, I think it does, with his capture and him aborting the plane and him going off to Israel. Really, I think the key point in the movie is when they're going through the guard gate to get on the tarmac at the airport, and when they went through the gate, he was trying to speak up, but they put some more serum in his body, so he couldn't speak, and they just told the guard that he was sick, and they were putting him back on the airplane to go wherever they were going, which was Israel. So that was a really good portrayal, and also his capture. I think when he dropped his glasses, that was a really big part of how the Nazis kind of took that and kind of traced their trail and found where they were at and tried to chase them down, but ended up that Eichmann got out of the country with the Mossad agents. And I mean, it was about, I think it was rated 60% on Rotten Tomatoes for all my constituents out there who are wondering. So
was it historically accurate?
I think, yeah, most of the movie was, I think, yeah.
I'd have to humbly disagree, but...
So a 62% on the tomato meter.
No, yes. 60.
60% on the tomato.
I don't really agree with that.
That is like a tomato that has been sitting out in the sun for 3 days, just basking in the heat. You pick it up,
But you got to think, people like sun-dried tomatoes.
That's not sun-dried, that's rotten.
That's sun-dried.
Sun-dried means a dehydrator, so the juice doesn't ferment and turn disgusting.
Okay, guys, I think we can agree to disagree on this, but thank you for watching our Hungry in the Morning first episode. We deeply appreciate it, and you know, we just want to close out with a nice ad done by Drew Lipscomb for Metro Diner. So, Drew, if you could just take it away and convince us all why we should go eat at your fine dining establishment.
Wandering Oaken's trading post. Ooh, and sauna.
Yeah, we're surviving the Russian winter. And we do this by coming to things like pool. You see my pool table? And then we have these guys over here. How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, he's playing the football.
I'm winning.
Winning. We're winning already. Come here, this is a family sauna. You see, when it is cold in the winter, you get in the sauna.
I was
over here. Those guys are my cousin, yeah? All of them cousins, yeah? They're related, yeah?
Uno, dos, tres.
So, Thomas, do you have any good historical accuracies that we should know about?
Yes. I could just imagine Hitler standing in front of the mirror. He's like, losing the war? Who's losing the war? And then later, he said, I did not see that coming.
No, Thomas.
Yeah. That just happened. Boom.
Caleb didn't get that one, did she?
Boom. Yeah, Caleb probably got that one.
For interesting facts about Hungary, you're gonna get
Hey,
like
guys.
a picture of something.
This is good.
Dude, and then
I
you're
promise.
Video. So that's fine. So we'll just start. You're saying
My
start
stamp
right
of
here on this
approval
stuff.
is on these young men.
Okay. You know what? We can do that, and we can throw up a Hungary logo.
Finally got it done. You got like 3 things.
Oh my gosh. It's like 11 o'clock. Thomas, finally finished it. Look at this.
I need some coffee now.
Let's go. Wait, hey, you know the difference between Hungry in the Morning and a postman?
What?
Is it our team delivers on Sunday? Boom!
Yeah, go ahead and cut that. We don't need that.